management.
The Rewind
Sports 60. From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, this is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to Sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Danny Carlino and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. Live. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
Second and goal from the 4. Daniel throws. Touchdown, Robinson. Daniel taking a shot here, and the ball is going to be caught by Miller. Daniel with the fade. Robinson, touchdown. Beating Gary and Conley. Allen Robinson, who was blanked all season in the end zone, has caught 2 touchdown passes here in the third quarter, and the Bears lead for the first time. And the ball gets loose, and Jacobs is going to try to get to it, and the scrum is on. Bears get it. There's their first break of the game.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're broadcasting live from the world's famous studios of WCPT 820 AM in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60, the fastest hour in sports conversation. There's no question about it. Those highlights, courtesy of Fox Sports, Dick Stockton, Mark Schlerich, Stink, as they call him, and Jen Hill on the sideline. The Chicago Bears fall in London to the Oakland Raiders by a final score of 24-21. This is our Bears Sunday Live post-game show on WCPT 820 AM here in Chicago, Jefferson Park on the north side. And let's get right to our esteemed panels. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been missing in action for a few weeks, but he's doing double duty, maybe triple duty, who knows, but he's back in studio here at WCPT. He's the one, he's the only, he's the Italian stallion. He's Danny Carlino. What's up, DC? He said. What's up, DC? I guess he has to get his mic ready for this. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. The fastest hour in sports conversation. If you want to join us, our number right here is 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not playing for the Cubs. He's not at Wrigley. He's not down in St. Louis. Neither are the Cubs themselves as well. But he's going into football mood, ladies and gentlemen. He's in football mode. He's the one. He's the only. He's the marvelous one. He's Dan Marvel. What's up, Danny? How are you?
Hi, Jerry. I could be Danny Carlino, too, if you want me to be. You know, I'm a baseball and basketball guy, but it helps that we can digest the game, you know, instead of it ending while we're on air. Yeah, and obviously the excuses are going to be coming. Jet lag, Akeem Hicks, you know, running game.
Yeah.
It was
what running game?
What running game, right. I mean, the offensive, and they controlled the line of scrimmage, Oakland. It was 398 to 236 in yardage in this game. So, and still they could have won it, except for the fact that unfortunate interception occurred at the end of the game that went right into the hands of Gary and Conley. And the earlier interception was to Nicholas Morrow. I was wondering what happened to our Cubs reliever.
That's hilarious. And we could have he could have thrown a couple more interceptions. We'll be breaking down the entire Bears game as much as we can within this fastest hours of sports conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, he could be in Evanston. He could be in Schaumburg. He could be in LaGrange. He could be in Hyde Park. He could be over there in Beverly. He could be over there in Chicago Heights. But ladies and gentlemen, he's right here in the studios of WCPT. He is the one. He's the only. He is the man on the street. He's Marty B. What's up, Marty?
Good afternoon, Jerry, Dan, and Danny. In the words of the late and former owner of the Oakland Raiders, all I want to say is, just win, baby.
Well, the hat that you're sporting, that's exactly what John Gruden and his team were able to do. Just win, baby. Just win, baby. They got out to a 17-point lead and then gave up 21 unanswered points to the Bears before they finally get the final touchdown to seal it 24-21. We'll get a chance to dissect everything as far as that game was concerned. The Bears dropping to 3-2. The Raiders improving to 3-2. Ladies and gentlemen, updates at the bottom and the top of the fastest hour in sports conversation. He's the one, the only. From our Monster Education Foundation studios, he's El Mago. He's Gabe Salgado. What's up, Gabe?
Jerry, gentlemen, not only did the Bears lose 24-21 today, they also lost to Akeem Hicks again. He finally took the field today. He'd been bothered with the knee. In case you saw the video, it didn't look pretty when he hurt his elbow early in the game. There's potentially a dislocated elbow. No official word as of yet, but looks like that bye week couldn't have come at a better time for the Bears. Obviously, other injuries as well, but Akeem Hicks getting hurt again definitely played a role in today's game.
It certainly did. That was a big factor as far as the Bears' defense was concerned because he goes out with that dislocated elbow, and he's pretty much done for the remainder of the game. And I think that's where the offensive line for the Oakland Raiders took advantage of the situation and started just dominating the front three as far as the Bears are concerned, and the linebackers were out of position. But John Gruden, you got to give him credit for what he's been able to do with this football team, the Oakland Raiders, and having these guys just mentally and physically ready to take on the Bears in London. And, of course, they made this Bears defense look like one of the worst three defenses in the National Football League as opposed to one of the top three defenses. And Khalil Mack, I mean, he recovered that fumble, but I know a lot of people in Chicago, media and fans alike, were like, this guy is MIA, missing in action. Whatever happened? Where did he go? What happened? This is his former team that said, hey, we don't want you. We don't want to do any deal with you. That's fine. Go ahead. And he was the entire talk as far as his defensive unit was concerned. Khalil Mack literally almost did not show up, Marvelous.
You know what's amazing? There were no sacks. The Bears did not get a sack, and that has not happened since the Miami game a year ago on October 14th.
Mm-hmm. Mack only had 3 tackles today.
Right. The Trevathan had 11. He was the leader.
He was the leader. He certainly was. But you gotta give the credit to the Oakland Raiders. And again, John Gruden. They seriously, physically just manhandle the Bears defense. And I think the finger pointing starts with our coaching staff, Matt Nagy.
You're right about that.
He did not have the team prepared one bit whatsoever. And I don't know if you guys had an opportunity. Gabe, you probably have heard the post-game comments by Matt Nagy, and I understand he said, we just got to get tougher. We got to get tougher at least 8 to 9 times. And you know what? We've heard this song and dance from this guy before. It starts with, well, you know what? You didn't get these guys prepared. I understand in the locker room, they went nuts, they went crazy, they were going, and they came out in the third quarter and just opened it up. Yeah. But for this team not to be prepared for the first 30 minutes of this football game, they got manhandled. 19 minutes of controlled offense for the Oakland Raiders versus 10 for the Chicago Bears in the first half. Marvelous, that's just ridiculous.
It was amazing. I watched the press conference. It was almost like a Dave Wanstead moment to me, where he was asked about the running game. They got to do something. They got to do something.
Are the pieces in place?
Yeah, they got to do something. Well, that's his job to figure out what that something is.
Right. That's exactly.
Look, David Montgomery's being featured in the offense. That's a good thing. But if you're going to give him the ball, you got to give him the ball more. And if you're going to run the ball, do it out of an actual run formation. This wide open spread, and let's hope the defense is fooled by a simple draw play up the middle. That it may work in college football. It's not going to work in the NFL.
Gabe, it's not even up the middle.
Well, yeah, but Gabe, if you're going to fool somebody within a formation that you may run a draw, don't you actually have to run a draw at some point?
Exactly. I mean, and plus it doesn't help that when they did run the ball, Trey Burton isn't exactly the best blocking tight end in the league. I mean, he's valuable as a receiver, no doubt, but look at some of the blocks he tried to make, and then didn't work out for them. So obviously they're gonna if they're gonna be serious about running the ball, they're gonna have to do more I formation, 2 tight end sets. They got to do something if they're really gonna devote more time to the run. But that's one area where they could be tougher, I guess, as Coach Nagy put it. But I mean, it was nice to see them have that third quarter outburst, but overall, this game could have gone a lot better. Unacceptable for sure.
Well, it should have gone a lot better. Again, if your coaching staff, and that, of course, Matt Nagy had his team prepared, and they got there in enough time. Supposedly they had the practice session here in Chicago, left on Thursday, were able to get the walkthrough and get acclimated to, the London time zone and everything of that nature. I told my wife watching this football game, because she's like ready to go to sleep, and I say, hey, you know what? Just give them an hour. Give the Bears an hour, and they're going to come. They're going to wake up, because they look like they were playing in quicksand. They look like, and Dick Stockton, they said that the Bears are in a fog. They look like they were sleepwalking. Once that hour passed, I think it was about hour 15-minute mark, they get back the third quarter, and they explode for 21 unanswered points. They finally woke up. Unfortunately, the defense, again, was so drained from, trying to play, because they were on the field for a heck of a long time, almost 20 minutes. That's a long time for your defense to be on the football field. But as far as the running attack is concerned, again, you point the finger at Matt Nagy and that coaching staff, because remember, Jordan Howard had his issues as far as, fumbling the ball at times and not making receptions out of the backfield. But for all practical purposes, he was a very, very effective running back as far as the Bears were concerned. Matt Nagy, for whatever reason, he may not have liked his personality or whatever the case may be. But, Gabe, you're absolutely right. If you're going to get rid of he was one of the top 3 running backs in the league behind the Dallas kid, Ezekiel Elliott, and Todd Gurley, I believe. But if you're going to get rid of that guy, you still have to try to address the running attack. And he has certainly gotten away from that. And it's bit him in the butt again.
Look what Howard did against the Packers last week with the Eagles.
Well, this week,
perfect example of what the Bears are missing out on right there.
No, I mean he had a pretty decent game this afternoon. From what I didn't see the final stats as far as his numbers were concerned. Maybe Devin can pull those up for us, or Gabe, you can pull it up on your computers and take a look at it. But Matt Nagy, and he is not the type of coach that he proclaims himself to be. And I understand he comes from the school of Andy Reid and what they were able to accomplish in Kansas City as he was the offensive coordinator there. But as far as what he's doing here for the Chicago Bears, he is not as much of an effective coach as he believed. Danny Carlino, what are your thoughts?
Well, look at it this way. I mean, that comment you just made regarding Matt Nagy, and I don't want to get on him too much, but then you have to look at it this way too. System is great. We can all talk about system, but he doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes or even an Alex Smith, for that matter. Running the offense. He's got Trubisky, who is here and there, and he looks more skittish this year than he did last year, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now he's hurt, and he's got Chase Daniel, who's made his 5th career start out in 11 years. So as much as he knows the system, if he was that great at running said system, he would have started more than 5 games before today. And I think that's a big deal. And like you talk about Jordan Howard, now maybe you didn't like him, but you need someone to produce the good things that he did. You cannot have an effective offense, especially with a fairly young quarterback and a backup, a career backup running the show, without having someone who can run effectively. Now, if you can find a better version of Jordan Howard, God bless you. But when you just drop the guy and then you don't have anything that remotely resembles the good things he can do, you're kind of left hanging.
And Jerry, to your point, Ezekiel Elliott already has 62 yards and a touchdown on 12 carries, even though Dallas is losing.
Right, and keep me posted on that score, because I got the Dallas Cowboys in that game against the Green Bay Packers, and we certainly have to keep an eye on the NFC North division with the Bears falling 24-21 to the Oakland Raiders. They're dropping their record to 3-2. The Detroit Lions had a bye this week, correct, Gabe?
Oh, yes, they did. They're on their bye week, and next week the Bears are on their bye week, so losing ground is going to be huge here.
Thanks to Devin, Jordan Howard had 13 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown today. So, I mean, those are numbers that the Bears certainly could have used as far as the running attack was concerned today. Montgomery with 11 carries, 25 yards, a 2.3 average, and of course he gets the touchdown for the Chicago Bears. But the running attack simply wasn't a main factor as the Bears are concerned. But they got beat up pretty much. And let me give you guys real quick the numbers as far as how dismal that first half was concerned. The first half, the Oakland Raiders leading the Bears by a score of 17-0 going into the locker room. The Bears with 44 total yards in the first half compared to Oakland with 208 yards. Passing, 28 passing yards, 109 for Oakland. And Derek Carr, let me tell you something. The first 2 series for the Oakland Raiders, Marty B., 10 plays eating up the time of the clock. One drive, they went 90 yards. 10 play drives, the first 2 consecutive possessions for the Oakland Raiders. As far as rushing is concerned, the Bears with 16 yards in the first half, Oakland with 99. And, of course, the time of possession, 19 minutes and 32 seconds for the Raiders, as opposed to the Bears with 10 minutes and 7 seconds. And I understand the coaching staff was spirited. The players were emotional. They were spirited in the locker room. And, again, they came out and lit a fire under themselves, and they exploded for 21 answer points. And there was a couple great big plays as far as that 21 points.
Yeah, the McManus peanut punch.
Yeah, exactly. That was a big, because the Oakland Raiders were ready to pounce in and get into the end zone. And what an incredible peanut punch that Sherrick McManus, and of course, what's his name? Prince Amukamora recovers it on the 1 yard line.
I'm glad you can pronounce that.
Yeah, Prince Amukamora recovers it on the 1 yard line. So that was a very, very big play. But the turning point as far as the game was concerned in the third quarter, where Derek Carr and, wow.
Josh Jacobs?
Talk about. Yeah. Are you kidding me? This kid was just, what was his numbers?
26.
But that was the, go ahead.
Oh, Jacobs, I mean, it was 26 for 123 yards rushing.
Yeah. 4.27 average with 2 touchdowns, but the big key play for the Chicago Bears in that football game that turned everything around for them was the miscommunication where Jacobs thought he was going to get a handoff and continue to pound it up the gut as far as the offensive line was concerned, and the battle in the trenches. Carr, I guess he called the play and he pitched it out, and the Bears were able to recover. Khalil Mack, one of the highlights as far as what he was able to do in the game, recover the ball at about the 15, 14-yard line, and the Bears were able to get in there and score to get things rolling. But those were some interesting points as far as the Bears game was concerned. Unfortunately, they wound down to the last series, and Chase Daniels, who played pretty well. I mean, despite the 2 interceptions, he played pretty well, but a miscommunication again. And what about Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, he would have been the MVP. 7 catches for 97 yards.
Excuse me, Miller.
Oh, okay.
Because he was the intended receiver on that interception,
right.
And he's the same individual that was penalized for taunting after the Robinson great touchdown. And so I'm believing that he was the factor. Yeah. He made the mistake on that play.
Well, there are a lot of mistakes. I mean, if you notice the number of penalties on Charles Leno, for example? Yeah. And then also the other big mistake was Kevin Pierre-Louis.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
6 minutes left in the game. And that was a 97-yard touchdown drive that won the game.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Yeah. Danny Carlino, why do you, on 4th and 6, with Oakland deep in their own territory, why do you rush the punter to try to block it? Shouldn't you just drop back and reel in the punt and get good field position to move down the field?
It's the only thing that makes sense to me. I mean, if you were losing with that much time left, you might not rush the punter because you don't need a blocked punt. You don't need to do something like that. You just need to get. I mean, with that kind of time, now you're getting the ball. You're going to get the ball back. The defense does their job, and then we talked about how tired they were from the first half, right?
Yep.
And I mean, and now you have a chance to give them a breather. You hope your offense can eat a bunch of those 6 minutes off, and maybe the Raiders get the ball back with less than 2 minutes left, and they get one final good few rushes on them and just kill the game. But now you give them, and it's an emotional thing too, because anytime you're in a game and you're thinking, okay, now I got a chance to rest, we did our job, and then oh crap, where's my helmet? I got to go back out there. And that just can't happen. It's just undisciplined. It's dumb on his part. If coaches didn't tell him, they shouldn't have to tell him, but if they didn't tell him not to go after the punter, there are certain things that sound dumb, but there's certain things that coaches there's certain stones they can't leave unturned.
Right.
It seems self-explanatory, but you as the coach have to talk to all 11 guys, it's all the guys that are on that line. Says, you don't even look at the punter. There's no need. There's absolutely no need. This is our chance to get the ball back and have our offense kill the game.
Exactly. And then, of course, John Gruden calls the fake punt, and they get the first down. Although we thought that it was a fumble. We thought it was a fumble, but after review, the elbow was down, and they kept the possession and they moved downfield. Now, one thing that we didn't look at, Marty B., and I'd love to get your response, your reaction. We talk about how the players, you guys agree that the Bears, for the first half, looked like they were playing in slow motion compared to the Oakland Raiders, correct?
Oh, very definitely. I was amazed.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think, because, I mean, it's time change. It was nighttime over there as opposed to, we're watching at 12 o'clock noon. But I knew it was going to take them at least an hour to get their legs underneath them and get all ready to go. Do you think the same occurred as far as the coaching staff was concerned, that they were a half step off and they were somewhat in the fog as well? I don't know. Maybe I'm picking straws, Marty. What do you think?
No, Jerry, you have an interesting perspective on that. I just think that, and we can talk about this and the pros and cons of this, but I really wish the Bears would have made the trip to London a few days before and really got acclimated. And it seemed as though the Oakland Raiders were really ready to go.
They were ready to go, and it's interesting because the fan base, they had over 61,000 fans in that stadium. What is it called? Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They had 61,000 plus fans in that stadium. And from the understanding from Dick Stockton, most of them were Chicago Bear fans.
Yeah.
And when the Oakland Raiders came out doing their warm-ups and they got in the middle of the field, they received a bunch of boos from the fans in the stands. And, of course, when the Bears were active doing anything, you heard a lot of cheering.
Oh, yeah.
You heard a lot of cheering.
On Saturday, the team had put out a video on social media where they were interviewing a bunch of local fans who happen to be Bears fans, which I thought was interesting. Well, that just goes to show you the reach of social media these days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's social media. Come on.
I just think those extra days.
What do you expect, Gabe? It's social media. It's everywhere.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we know that, Gabe.
15 years ago, this wouldn't have been the case.
We understand that.
Well, one thing I find funny as far as the time frame is concerned, I think was the Bears last time they went to London when they played the Buccaneers a few years ago.
And they won that game.
They won that game. I think they did the same thing. They went late in the week. They didn't go right after their previous game. So, I mean, who can? Of course, the Buccaneers were horrid, but I don't think anyone expected a whole heck of a lot of the Raiders either.
Right.
With all of their controversies. I mean, how many players have they lost for stupid reasons so far? And somehow the one guy they haven't lost is Richie Incognito. The guy
Unbelievable.
the guy who puts offensive and offensive linemen.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they said that some of the Bear players defensively were kind of afraid because they weren't sure if he was going to – because he got called for a chop block. He got called for a chop block, and they were concerned about that because we know the type of player that Incognito is. And so it kind of – I understand a couple of the players, stood off the line of scrimmage maybe, 3-4 feet to protect themselves from that because they were simply unaware if he was going to – or any of the offensive linemen were going to do anything to him. But Prince Amukamara said he knew they were going to be in for a challenge with the Oakland Raiders. He said the first 15 plays that were scripted, he saw the attack of what they were doing, keeping the Bears off balance and executing effectively for the first 15 plays. So he knew that it was going to be somewhat of a long afternoon as far as the coaching scheme of John Gruden and the Oakland Raiders. And it proved to be right. Now, here's the deal. You guys know that I'm kind of like, I'm crazy. I'm kind of like out there, right?
If you say so.
Yeah. Carlino, here's my thought.
Sure.
Because I want to win. I'm a Bear fan, right? But here's my deal. And I know the Bears, they are probably, what would you say, before that interception, they were probably like 15, 20 yards out of field goal range.
Yeah.
And then we know what happened on the last play when they finally got the ball back. Chase Daniels gets sacked.
Mm-hmm.
And we know, Matt Nagy is not really confident regarding our boy, Eddie Pinero. And he's kicked the 81-yarder in college at Florida.
In practice.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Oh, wait, but how long would that have been?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it popped into my head. I'm
Is there an
like,
exchange factor, though? 'Cause we're in England.
Yeah, I mean, they could have been meters, right?
right. Right. But, I mean, I was hoping because, obviously I'm thinking what they're planning on is getting them downfield, kick the field goal, going to overtime, and then letting this kid win it.
Plus, he was dinged up, I think, a little bit, too.
Well, he did. He actually kicked field goal or the extra point, and he was limping.
Yeah.
But did you hear anything? Did they say anything about it?
No.
Gabe, did you hear anything about it?
No, just that he obviously at that last kick, I guess he took a hit on that kick, and then they pulled him off the field. But then he was Mark Grody had put this out on Twitter. He was kicking into the net on the sideline shortly afterwards. So it was just a quick scare, if anything.
Because he had that nerve problem.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah, it was the pinched nerve in his knee.
Well,
from a
he
couple
came
weeks
back.
ago.
He came back and kicked He came back and kicked the two other extra points, but
Because O'Donnell was kicking off.
But that was a scary moment right there.
Yeah, it was very,
my
very
heart
scary.
almost stopped when I saw him grabbing his leg.
well, all of our hearts pretty much stopped. I thought he was going to be the hero of the game, and of course they were showing him on the sideline, on that final drive before the INT. But unfortunately, he didn't get an opportunity to get out there. And he was kicking them straight. They were going straight down the middle. So I know he was prime and ready for the opportunity to hopefully get the Bears into overtime and then win the thing in overtime. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. The Bears fall 24-21 to the Oakland Raiders in London. Folks, if you want to join us, if you want to be a part of the conversation, we'd love to hear what you have to say on our Bears Sunday Live post-game show. Our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. We go to our Monster Education Foundation Update Studios. Gabe Salgado, scoreboard update. Take it away, buddy.
TRS60 Sports Update.
It's sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation. It was a wild one in London as the Bears trailed 17-0 at halftime, stormed back to take a 21-17 lead in the third quarter, but the Oakland Raiders would come back in the final minutes to beat the Bears 24-21 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Injuries, mistakes, poor defense, and inconsistent play calling hurt the Bears once again, and they'll have their bye week next week in order to correct those mistakes and allow their injured players to recover. Can you believe that it's basketball season already? Tomorrow night will be our first chance to see Zach LaVine, Wendell Carter, Otto Porter, and the rest of the Chicago Bulls as they begin the NBA preseason at the United Center against the Milwaukee Bucks. The team has been hard at work during training camp at the Advocate Center, and this will be Jim Boylan's first full season as the team's head coach. The Blackhawks trip to Prague didn't go as planned as they fell to the Philadelphia Flyers 4-3 on Friday, despite getting goals from Alexander Nylander, Alex DeBrincat, and Patrick Kane. The Hawks return stateside this week and they'll open the United Center portion of their schedule against the San Jose Sharks on Thursday night. DeBrincat was also given a 3-year contract extension worth $18 million this week. Another candidate emerged as the Cubs seek their next manager. Mark Loretta, who served as Joe Madden's bench coach this year, interviewed with Theo Epstein this week as another potential replacement for Madden, who won't be brought back in 2020. He joins former Cubs catcher David Ross and former New York Yankees manager Joe Girardi as names looking to be the manager next year. On the south side, the White Sox have parted ways with hitting coach Todd Steverson. While Tim Anderson finished the year as the American League leader in batting average and Jose Abreu led the majors in RBIs, it wasn't enough to save Steverson's job. The rest of the coaching staff, including pitching coach Don Cooper and manager Rick Renteria, will be retained for 2020. And in today's baseball playoff action, the Braves lead the Cardinals 3-1 on the bottom of the ninth, while the Dodgers and Nationals will play each other tonight. This update is sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation, MEF, empowering the next generation of leaders. And don't forget to sign up for the Monster Banquet on November 9th. Go to monstereducationfoundation.org to learn more. I'm Gabe Salgado for the Rewind Sports 60 and WCPT 820 Chicago.
Taking the cone. From the 12, trying to outrace the outside, and he does. Tariq Cohen into Raider territory. One man to beat. Keyshawn Nixon caught up with him. And Tariq Cohen with a brilliant punt return. And the Bears are in prime position to take the lead with 1:41 remaining in the third.
Dick Stockton on the call for Fox. Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles. That was Gabe Salgado with their TR60 scoreboard update. And, of course, the man on the street, Marty B, is here, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. And the Italian Stallion is making an appearance, ladies and gentlemen, Danny Carlino. Again, if you want to jump in, you have any comments regarding the Bears' disappointing loss to the Oakland Raiders in London, our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. The Bears fall to 3-2 in the division. What's the score on the Packers-Dallas game right now, Gabe?
Dallas just scored, as a matter of fact. Glad you brought that up. It's now 34-24 with 7:45 left to play in the fourth quarter, so Dallas is trying to mount a comeback there.
Let's go, Dallas.
And in regards to that Tariq Cohen clip on that punt return, that audio clip doesn't do the play justice. I mean, in that video, if you saw the game today, Cohen he was completely stopped and then just got a burst of speed out of nowhere and outran just about everybody. So that clip doesn't do the entire play justice.
It was unbelievable. He reels the ball in, and he starts up toward the middle and then breaks off to the left around the sideline. And I thought he was going to take it to the house, but he was tackled at the 16-yard line. But that was one of the big plays as far as the Bears were concerned in a disappointing loss, 24-21. And despite all the poor first half of action, only having the ball a possession for 10 minutes and 7 seconds. Despite all of that, this Bears football team, and I do understand what Nagy is saying when he said, hey, we just have to be tougher, we have to play tougher. He means he's got to coach tougher. But this team did not give up. they came back, roared back, and took the lead and should have won the football game. John Gruden was beside himself. He didn't he was like, what the heck is going on? And Robinson, was it Robinson that made that incredible catch on the sideline, marvelous one, where no question about it. I thought the guy got racked up. It was an incredible catch. And at the end of the game, during the press conference, post game, with the media, he said, you know what? He goes, I've been playing football. I'm 26 years of age. I've been playing football since I was 6 years old. He said, I work on my footwork. He said, my goal, and it's all repetition, I try to get my feet down in position and then just let my upper body do the work, meaning to catch the football. And he took one heck of a hit.
It's amazing that he stayed in bounds.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it was a split. It was more amazing that he was able to hang on to the ball, because the way that he got crunched after receiving the ball, it was instantaneous. It was split, boom, boom. And the officials looked at it. John Gruden threw the red flag. And they say, hey, man, no, this guy made the catch, Danny Carlino.
Well, I mean, the description of his preparation is perfect, because if you don't have your feet together before you try to go up the catch, you're not going to get him in the right place to come down with the ball. It's just not going to happen. No one's that good. So you have to have yourself ready and then go get the ball, because if you're able to catch it but you land out of bounds, what's the point, right?
Exactly.
So if you land in bounds but you still have a chance to catch it, then you have a chance to actually complete the play, and he did, and kudos to him for that.
It's our Bears Sunday Live post game show, and we like to say hello to our good friends Gale Street Inn, who usually takes care of us, especially when the Bears they're playing a late game, whether it's a 3:25 game or a 7:30 game. Gale Street Inn, George, and everyone over there, they do a fantastic job at taking care of us during our Bears Sunday Live post game show. Now, interesting enough, the Bears are going to have to lick their wounds. They got the bye week coming up, and then, of course, they have the New Orleans Saints coming to town. And Teddy Bridgewater is a quarterback because Drew Brees is out, and he's doing halfway decent. He's playing effective football, and this isn't a team to sleep on. Yeah. And the one thing, I think Matt Nagy is getting exposed, Marty B. And you talk about Sean Payton coming in here to the Soldier Field. I know it's going to be kind of tough, and I know the 12th man and the fans are really going to be standing and cheering and going crazy and supporting our Chicago Bears football team. But Matt Nagy, cut out all the trick plays and all the gimmicks and all of that stuff, because Sean Payton, they're going to ram it down your throat. That's all they're going to do, he said.
You know what the best news is? It's a 3:25 game, so we'll be fed by Gale Street Inn.
Well, here's one thing: we could have found a loophole with Gale Street Inn, because technically it was a 6 p.m. kickoff in London.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's a good observation, Danny Carlino.
I'm always looking for free food. I mean, come on, that's half of what we do this for, right?
Ribs. Ribs.
But I mean, here's ultimately, I mean. We know this is a defense-first team. For whatever they traded to get Mitch Trubisky and to get a quarterback-friendly coach in here after the whole Fox, whatever you want to call that was. Ultimately, this is a defense-first team. They got Khalil Mack, who wasn't expected to be available, and he kind of fell in their lap. And then they have all these great stalwarts on defense. And ultimately, even though with the 19 minutes to 11 minutes possession time that has to wear them down and the travel and all that stuff, you pay in this defense a lot of money. 97 yards drive. It's reminiscent of that winning drive by Philadelphia in that playoff game in Chicago. Cannot happen.
No,
you're paying the defense all that money, $141 million of that to Khalil Mack alone.
Yeah,
and for him to only get 3 tackles and no sacks, and he
only knocked down a car once. That sounds like.
I mean, he looked, in some plays he looked kind of lost out there at times. So,
which is odd. I mean, maybe because what. It's hard because usually he attracts so much attention.
Yes, he does.
From the opposition that they're basically holding him on every play.
But remember too, there was also a couple plays where Derek Carr was able to get away from him and at least throw the ball away and not take a sack and kind of neutralize Mack on.
And that sure didn't happen with Mr. Cousins last week. He was running for his life and eating the ball and fumbling and throwing it away. So.
Yeah.
So here's the deal.
More composed quarterback for sure.
Definitely.
Here's the deal. And again, because Khalil Mack, again, he certainly didn't show up with just 3 tackles, a recovered fumble, and he dodged the media afterwards. And I kind of understand that because he's not really comfortable talking to the media, but especially after a game like this. But here's the deal. And again, this is why I point the finger at Coach Matt Nagy. Remember, if you guys heard earlier this week, Chase Daniels said, "Hey, I played over there before, and I know what the environment is like. I know what the atmosphere is like, and so we have to be ready to play." I point the finger again at Matt Nagy because when I travel overseas, my wife does a lot of traveling, and Marty, you can attest to this as well. But when we travel overseas, she actually gives me pointers and prepares me for the adjustment. Traveling wherever overseas. And so I have that already mentally prepared for myself. And then once I get to, the destination that we're at, for instance, I was just in Greece for summer vacation, and I had to make the adjustment. And it took me a couple of days to finally get into the pattern of things. Again, I agree with you guys. Maybe the Bears should have gone over there a little bit earlier. Got everything prepared because, again, they looked like they were playing in slow motion. They looked like they were playing in a fog in the first half. And you've got to, especially with the payroll that you guys talking about on the defensive side of the football, you've got to mentally and physically prepare these guys for whatever the situation calls for.
Well, you're right. I mean, having been to London, it was the first day after you get there, I would sleep till noon, typically, which is 6 a.m. Chicago time. So I could see where there might be an issue. Of course, Oakland, even though they went earlier, their regular time is 2 hours earlier than Chicago. So their flight was even longer. They probably had about a 10-hour. Well, they left
here's
from the
the
Midwest.
deal.
They left from the Midwest, didn't they?
Yeah, but here's the difference. I'm sorry, Gabe. Here's the difference with Oakland. They haven't been home on the West Coast for 3 weeks. Yeah. So they've been living out of their suitcases for that long, extended period of time. So they probably had a better chance to adjust, to what's going on than the Bears are concerned.
And I was going to say, we talk about being in a fog and jet lag. Well, John Gruden only sleeps 2 hours a night, so he's jet lag every day. But yet he won up Matt Nagy in this game. So
he probably got 3 hours of sleep before this game.
Yeah. I mean, his coaching staff.
Half of that was on the plane.
Yeah,
it might have been the third quarter they fell asleep.
No, the coaching staff put together a heck of a game plan. They put together a heck of a game plan. And again, the deficiencies are starting to rear their head as far as the Bears are concerned. And, I don't know if you guys remember this. When Nagy was signed and they had the press conference, and he said to GM Ryan Pace, "Hey, if you screw up, I'm going to be questioning you." And I thought that was a little bit, I was like, wow, how's this head coach coming in going to tell his boss, "Hey, if you do something screwed up, I'm going to be questioning you"? Well, if I'm Ryan Pace, I'm looking at the guy and say, "Hey, what the hell was that? What the hell was that?"
He probably asked him that after the preseason. Hey, why didn't you play these guys in the preseason?
Yeah. At least sometimes.
Yeah. A former Bear, I heard some post-game talk. He said, "You know what? After listening to Matt Nagy say, you got to get tough, we got to get tougher." He said, "You know what? You don't get tough in October, late September, early October. That's not when you get tough." He said, "You get tough in training camp, leading up to preseason. That's when you develop the toughness, not now."
Yeah, the idea is to make practice difficult so the game seems easier because you can't stop the game. During practice, you say, "Oh, well, let's run that again. Let's run that again. We'll do it again. You line up. Oh, we'll change this personnel. We'll see what it looks like with this." You don't have time to do that during the game because you make a mistake like you do in a practice. It's 6 points the other way. And I know they collectively bargained this and the pads and limiting that, and there's no two-a-days anymore. But so we don't have two-a-days, and then they do no-a-days. I mean,
exactly.
Right.
What's that?
Really quick, let me chime in here. Dallas has the ball with 3.5 minutes left. They're down 34-24, trying to get something going here towards the end of the game. So Dallas does have the ball in the latter minutes.
I need them because I got them in my confidence pool.
How many points?
Not too many points. Not too many points.
Thank
but
goodness.
the fact I was doing pretty well. coming into this. I put 6 on the Bears.
Okay,
I put 6 on the Bears.
That's not bad.
But the bad thing about my confidence pool, Danny Carlino, is that I gave 13 points to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Why?
I don't know, Danny Carlino, and of course,
were you sober?
Arizona Cardinals came from behind to win it on a field goal. Unbelievable.
Were you sober?
So I'm down. Of course. I'm down 27 points. I'm down 27 points. So I'm still among the leaders right now. If everybody else runs the table.
You know what? It's funny. You talk about giving 6 to the Bears. You know that point spread was jumping back and forth between 4 and 6 all week. So I guess That was
Yeah, it was at 5 this morning.
Right.
It was at 5 this morning.
So hopefully, hopefully you didn't lose too much there, but that was kind of like the line all week.
Well, no, my goal in this confidence pool, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's to hang around between the top 20 and the top 10, and then toward the 12th week, begin to make my run toward the top.
Yeah.
So I'm in pretty decent position right now. But real quick, you know how they give out the game balls?
Right.
Right? They give out game balls. Well, of course, no one on we're not getting game balls. None of us are getting game balls.
Would have been
none of them.
Would have been Robinson.
Robinson. I want to ask you guys another question. But as far as game balls is concerned, it goes to John Gruden and his coaching staff here. Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator, Edgar Bennett, the wide receivers coach, Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, Kirby Wilson, the running backs coach, Paul Gunther, the defensive coordinator, and Brenton Buckner, the defensive line. They all get a game ball because on both sides of the ball, they showed up. They showed up offensively and defensively.
Well, you could say ultimately that the Raiders won by 3 points, but really they won by 3/4 to 1/4. You can't play
Exactly.
1 quarter and win the game.
Exactly. Let's go out to our phone lines. We got Chris calling from Palatine. Chris, welcome to the Rewind Sports 60 Bears Sunday Live post game show. What's on your mind, man?
Well, just listening to your commentary, I mean, you guys really aren't really commentators. I mean, none of you are having a stroke or in danger of having heart attacks or
What does that mean?
fits.
What are you talking about?
Well, you listen to any of the other the former Bear players, and some of these guys, you think that they're going to drop dead of a heart attack anytime the Bears lose.
You want us to do that?
We can scream and yell and jump up and down, pound the table,
You want us to do that?
What do
They
you
want us to be like this.
What are you, a doctor?
Yeah. You want us to have a stroke and heart attack. That's what you want?
We're only renting these
Hey,
tables.
Chris.
We don't want...
Hey, Chris, let me tell you something. I'm kind of like a laid-back guy. I don't really get nervous and antsy. Let me tell you something. This Bear game, and Eddie Pinero, incidentally, he's going to be at Serenello's October 29th on Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30 for a meet and greet. So, Chris, I want you to come on over there, okay? Eddie Pinero, the kicker for the Chicago Bears, is going to be at Serenello's on October 29th, Tuesday, 6:30 to 8:30. But I'm pacing.
By the way, where is
Serenello's, it's in Wheeling on the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee Avenue. I want you to make reservations. I want you to come on out. It's going to be a fabulous time. All right? Make that note.
Okay.
And so real quick, man, almost had a heart attack, almost had a stroke. I'm watching, I'm pacing the floor back and forth. Before the interception, I'm hoping that the Bears are driving down. I'm hoping they get in a position so Eddie Pinero could kick a 43-yarder, 53-yarder, 35-yarder. I don't care. Kick the freaking football through the uprights like you have been doing. Get us into overtime, and then Bears, Chase Daniels, get the offense in position and kick the game winner, and we come back home happy and glorious and looking forward to a meet and greet.
The problem is that the coaches don't have confidence that he will be able to kick the field goal.
I don't have confidence in this coaching staff. We know that they're wrong. Eddie Pinero coming into this game, he was 8 of 9 from field goals. 8 of 9 on field goals this season thus far. He was actually the leading scorer for the Chicago Bears before they started scoring touchdowns. So you talk about confidence. I don't have confidence in Matt Nagy and his coaching staff. How you like that?
That seemed to be a general consensus of opinion this afternoon from what I briefly heard on some of the other talk shows.
Well, I hope some of those other guys aren't kissing the behinds of Matt Nagy. I hope they're delivering a hard blow to him.
Oh, trust me, there were a few of them there. I thought if there was a rope and a handy, they'd be ready to take care of him.
Well, I think a lot of people be ready to take care of him. I think once he gets back into town, and Chris, thank you for your phone call, and we'll see you on the 29th over at Serenello's in Wheeling to meet and greet with Eddie Pinero. I hope, hey, listen, they're going to have to sneak. He's going to have to sneak into town. The regular team probably can. The regular team can probably fly in O'Hare and get off. Matt Nagy.
In addition to being sort of clueless about the running game, Nagy in the post game mentioned that they were 3-2, which he considered that to be an accomplishment. After all, they were 3-3 last year,
right?
And again, it was sort of.
Well, they could have easily been 2-3 if it wasn't for certain things that happened in Denver. But here's one thing I don't get with Matt Nagy. You talk about Collard said he didn't think he had confidence in Pinero to
Chris from Palatine.
Yeah. Well, if he doesn't have confidence to run the ball, he doesn't have confidence in his quarterbacks to do what they're supposed to do, doesn't have confidence in his kicker, okay, he's a little gimpy, so I get that to some degree. If you don't have confidence in any of the players in your roster, then
why do you have them?
Who the hell picked them?
Why do you have them?
I mean, they were a little bit too far away for a field goal on second and third down in that final drive.
On that note, Mr. Marver,
Yes.
who is not too far from a field goal, although they're going to
Yeah.
need more than that, is the Cowboys. They've driven down to the Green Bay 15
Yeah.
at the 2-minute
Yeah.
warning, but they still trail by
Okay.
10.
10 points.
You-
It's okay.
Okay.
but a
How many
field goal won't
timeouts do they have? Do you know?
Dallas has 1 timeout. Green Bay has 2.
So they got the 2-minute warning. They got 1 timeout there in the 15-yard line. You punch the ball in, give it to Ezekiel Elliott, punch it in, get it back on kickoffs, hit the onside kick, recover it, get in the field position, kick the field goal. Let's go to overtime and let's handle business. That's all you got to do.
That's what happens on Madden.
Yeah.
If Dak Prescott's wants to get a contract extension, he wants to get the big bucks,
Right.
and Amari Cooper, they want to get some big bucks like Ezekiel Elliott, let's get together and let's perform and let's make this thing happen.
If anything, we could blame Madden for the spread offense because all everybody ever does is throw the Hail Mary in that
Right.
game. If you
That
think about
works
it.
for me.
Except the Bears. The Bears don't throw any Hail Marys.
Yeah.
And I felt for Chase
You
because
know-
he couldn't get the ball.
Well,
down
you'll
the field.
Chase, for all the negative he's going to get from that interception, he was 22 of 30 for 231 yards.
Sure.
Which means he completed all but 6 passes to somebody because there were 2 interceptions.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this question. We know who the best player on the Bears team right now is, right?
Yeah.
That's Allen Robinson,
Robinson,
right?
right. He would have been
7
yeah.
catches, 97 yards for 2 touchdowns this afternoon in a 24-21 loss. Who would you say is the second best player on the Bears football team this season?
I'm going to go ahead and say Pinheiro simply because he's responsible for so many other
How
points.
about Trevathan?
I could agree with you there.
Trevathan?
Yeah, Danny Trevathan. Yeah.
Danny Carlino.
Even though he's not done exactly what you consistently all year so far, but he still caused a lot of problems. Mac is if he's where he's supposed to be, he's the best player on the team.
I'm gonna tell you guys who the second best player on the Chicago Bears football team is.
Yeah.
And Gabe Salgado, you were pretty close when you said Eddie Pinheiro. You were pretty close when you said Eddie Pinheiro.
Punter?
It's the punter, Pat O'Donnell. It's the punter, Pat
I
O'Donnell.
knew you were ahead of
But you
that.
don't want
5
that.
punts for 213 yards in the loss of 42.6 average. He planted 2 of them inside the 20-yard line.
That's why they call him Mega Punt.
But see, that's
Yeah.
his job. But you don't want your punter to be your
On the
first or
field,
second
yeah.
best player on the team. That means he's doing a lot of work.
Right. You don't want that to happen, but in this case, that's the situation that's occurring. And he's buried. And again, you talked about the 90-yard drive that the Oakland Raiders put together, 10-play drive. He is planting opponents deep in their own territory. It's just that we saw what happened in the Denver game. We know what happened in the Green Bay game. And, of course, this game, this afternoon, he's burying teams deep in their own territory into the field. But, unfortunately, the offense can't get anything going, so the defense is out on the football field. They get winded, and, of course, the opponents go down and
Well,
capitalize.
I don't know how often kickers address the team, especially the defense. But at some point he's got to go up in front. He's like, I can't put him any deeper, guys.
Well, here's the deal. You make up a very, very valid point, Danny Carlino, the Italian stallion. And again, we know last year this team was at 3-3 at this time. Then they go on to win 9 of the next 10 football games. Let's hope that's the situation right now. But they got a lot of tough opponents on the schedule coming up. Whether it's the New Orleans Saints,
Then they got
or
the Chargers
they got
and-
the Chargers. Then they got the Eagles. We know Kansas City is on the schedule. So it's going to be very, very tough and very, very difficult. And what's scary about this situation is that they could lose the locker room. The coach can lose the locker room because the defense, like you said, they say, hey, man, we're on the football field for 19 minutes in the first half. We're tired. We're gassed. And they're just going to start looking at the offense and go, hey, you guys got to start doing something.
The thing is that you saw that punt return by Cohen. I mean, why doesn't he get the ball as a running back? I mean,
He doesn't trust him, I
Well,
guess. I don't know.
one reason is some of the experts believe that he is not every down back. He is a third down back, like a Darren Sproles type, and that's how the Bears should try to utilize him, but not as an every down back.
But which is unfortunate because Tariq Cohen was the every down back in college, and he ended up breaking records for all.
Yeah, but college and
yards from
college and football are totally different. They're it's a totally different animal. A lot of guys can't adjust to the collegiate level, and with his size, what is he like 5'6",
170.
170 pounds, and so and one particular play in the game, I don't know if you guys remember, he got crushed by 3 Oakland Raider defenders, crushed by 3 of them, and it's only so much that little body can take, and so you don't want him as your every down back because eventually, and you have to also understand when I say college and pros are different, Gabe, you also have to understand teams have film on this kid now. They have film on him, and they know how to shut him down and prevent him from being, explosive like he was a year ago.
I don't think the running game's ever going to be any good then, if that's the case.
Well, David Montgomery, he's averaging 2.6 yards a carry in the game. But I think last week he averaged somewhere in the same vicinity, 2.6, 2.8.
He's the Bears leading rusher, but give him the ball more is pretty much what we're.
But that's not a Matt Nagy. That's not a Matt Nagy.
Which is unfortunate. It's going to have to be at some point. But
somebody's going to get the ball more.
Really quick, Dallas fails to score. Green Bay gets the ball back, and they're trying to run the clock out now.
Okay.
Oh well.
And for you baseball fans, the Cardinals lost to the Braves 3-1. So the Braves are up 2-1.
Yeah. Well,
that should have been a sweep by the Braves.
I gave Dallas 5 points in the game, so I'm not going to lose much, but that's going to put me at 31. But what about the Chargers? How are they doing?
Hold on, let me pull that.
Come on, Gabe. Let's go. You're the update guy. Let's go.
Denver.
They were down 17-0 at halftime as well.
Ah, jeez.
Trying to get a touchdown before the half and fumbling through the end zone on the last play wasn't the best.
Well, as they say, is that bad? It's not good. Marty B.
I just want to say that this New Orleans Saints team that's coming into town in 2 weeks, they are, with or without Drew Brees, they are a complete football team.
Yeah, they are.
They are really complete.
And their defense is stepping up their game big time.
They can play with our defense anytime.
Here's one thing. Think about the game from last week. Do you think Minnesota maybe regrets letting Teddy Bridgewater go a little bit?
Well, I mean, you remember he had that serious injury and almost lost his leg. Yeah, they didn't think the guy's going to play again. So
I'd rather have him with one leg than that guy for all that money they're giving him.
Here's one more, Jerry. Here's one more nugget that you'll be interested in. Your Ohio State Buckeyes, number 3 in the AP Top 25.
Unbelievable. You know what? A good friend of mine, Jill Rito, went to school together back in the day. She told me, because we talk very often, especially during the football season, she said, hey, you were wrong about the Buckeyes, because I told her. And I think I told you guys on the air as well that I didn't think they were one of the top 5 teams in the country. Man.
They look like it now.
Oh, my goodness.
Were you just trying to mitigate any disappointment if they don't get in the Final Four again?
No, honestly, I seriously did not believe that they were that talented. Right. And they are playing the best football any team in the country right now.
And they're going to win their division and not play Northwestern the Big Ten
Championship. Thank goodness, because you know why? You know why? Because now we can go and cover the Big Ten Championship game in Indianapolis. We don't have to have Northwestern tell us, no, you can't have credentials.
Hey, Fangio won a game 2013, by the way, guys.
Well,
the Broncos.
The good thing about that's actually the conference that handles that and not the schools, so we would have been good.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Gabe, I know what I'm talking about.
Jerry, I've covered the Big Ten tournament for basketball as the conference.
And I've covered, I'm talking about football, Gabe. I'm talking about football. Listen, I've gone to the Big Ten title championship game many a times. Last year, the Northwestern Wildcats were in it, and the closest school who's in the vicinity of the Big Ten title game, which is played in Indianapolis, they can decide who can come and cover the game and who does not. If you don't believe me, you can call, you can look it up, you can do whatever you can. 2 years ago, when Wisconsin was in it against the Ohio State Buckeyes, we got credentials because Wisconsin is closer to the site. But when Northwestern got in, they determined, and I've got this firsthand, Gabe. I got this firsthand. They told me the closest school in the vicinity, they determine who covers the Big Ten.
I don't know if Madison is close. I don't know if Madison is closer than Columbus.
Because for basketball, it's the conference that handles it.
I don't know if Madison is closer than Columbus.
Maybe
honestly.
they were.
Well, I'm a Buckeye, so the Buckeyes aren't going to turn me.
Right.
Well, maybe Evanston is too close.
No, I don't know. I have my views as far as Northwestern is concerned, but
things happen. Yes.
Hey. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. If you missed any portion of the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, check us out on our Facebook page, The Rewind Sports 60. And, of course, you can check us out on WCPT820.com, The Rewind Sports 60, another edition of Bears Sunday Live post game show. Have a great rest of your weeks. Thanks to Danny Carlino, the Italian Stallion. Good to see you. Of course, the Marty B, and, of course, the Marvelous One. We're late for a TR60 scoreboard update from our Monster Education Foundation studios. Gabe Salgado, take it away, buddy.
TRS60 Sports Update.
Speaking of college football, in this week's games, Notre Dame demolishes Bowling Green 52-0. Illinois gets demolished at Minnesota 40-17. Northwestern falls to Nebraska 13-10, while Northern Illinois loses at home to Ball State 27-20. This update is sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation, and I'm Gabe Salgado for the Rewind Sports 60 and WCPT 820 Chicago.